Right, welcome back to the program. It's a discussion segment right now. My guest is joining me, Barrister Felix Ogbaudu, AIG retired. He's also a member of the Order of the Niger, MNI. Welcome to the program. Good to see you. Quite a long time. It's taking ages to see you. Welcome to our studios.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, let's get started. And I will start, we're looking at the issue of police reforms, insecurity in the country, and what a day to do this show, really, especially from what we've seen over at the weekend. Endless killings. We've seen the massacre of over 40 rice farmers. A lot of people say it's more than that. Like I mentioned earlier, it was a bloody weekend. The UN described the killings in Borno State as the most violent attack on innocent civilians. People beheaded in this country. And it seems as if, I just woke up today, everybody's going their normal stuff. And I was asking myself, really, are we in a country, you know, where this should be like the headlines and we should all be discussing it? So what's your own take?
Well, thank you so much, Nancy. The truth of the matter is that the insecurity situation in Nigeria is extremely worrisome, no doubt about that. And there are a lot of factors that are responsible for the situation in which we find ourselves. Some of the factors, or some of the, if we want to resort to blame game, the government has part to play, which they fail to play. There are security agencies too. They've not lived up to expectation. And a lot of people want to argue too that it's because they've not had the adequate empowerment and the support from the government. So that's it. When I recall the good old days, when I enlisted in police force after my youth service, that was 1976, 44 years ago. And I compare the police as of then and the police of today, I feel so disappointed. Because at that time, security agencies were very well empowered. They had everything they required to perform. And like I've always said, you don't invest minimally and expect to reap optimally. It doesn't work out that way. So we really need to prioritize security in this country. One other thing that also worries me is that when these security agents, particularly Nigeria Police Force members, go out there on peacekeeping missions, they excel. You recall just last month or thereabout, one Mrs. Catherine Ugoji, a chief superintendent of police, who is in the United Nations peacekeeping mission in Mali, had the prestigious United Nations Woman Police Officer Award for this year, 2020. Sometime last year, the Nigeria police team that went on the same peacekeeping mission in Somalia excelled. And they were also given an award and all of that. And the question that really comes to mind is, why is it that these same security operatives excel outside this country and they are judged failures back home? I had suggested in the past that we really need to do a kind of research work. Reach out to these officers. Ask them what is the difference between the operating environment out there and back home here. And we'll be able to learn from that. So I think before we go into the nitty-gritty of our discussions today, we need to prioritize security in this country.
What do you think has changed from 1976 when you enlisted as a youth corps member? Because I can imagine how many youth corps members right now will want to go into police. Many of the youth corps members that would want to find themselves in police, just a little chunk or just minute people will be like, oh, I love to be a policeman or a policewoman. Some of them will enter because now, waiting then see be that there are no jobs.
No jobs, yes.
Yes. So what changed from 1976 till now? And as a former AIG, you reached the pinnacle of your career. You retired. As a former AIG, you had the lenses. You were seeing. Why is it that police people would live here? It's the same IG that will send them out from the same command or the same place here in Nigeria, and they will go out and perform. So what exactly is it? Is it the sands that are against them here or what? Or the ground is not good? So I've asked you two questions in one.
Well, like I said, in law we say you cannot give what you don't have. If you're sending someone an errand, you must give all the necessary empowerment for him or her to perform. A lot of challenges security agencies face. One, very poor funding. Unlike before, like you said, in those good old years, the police was very well funded. You can imagine as a cadet TSP in training, I had a car loan and I bought a car. While I was undergoing training in police staff college, Jos, I got a car loan and I had a car I was driving there. And when we passed out, in virtually every police station in this country, you find not less than 3 vehicles. A lorry for mass movement, a Land Rover, and maybe a station wagon 504. And of course, they had firearms, response time to distress calls was very, very timeous and all of that. But we also must not lose sight of the fact that the population then, in Nigeria, the population today, they're not the same.
So doesn't it mean
And
that
two,
we should employ more people?
Yeah, two, the strength of the forces at that time is not anywhere near what we have today. But even at that, they were more effective as at that time. So right now, my first advice is that the government should commence urgently a recruitment of more police officers. And they should be given adequate training. The painful thing is that if you go to most of the police training institutions, that is sorry side, facilities to train are not there. The instructors there are not even in the right mood to be, because some of them feel that when they are posted to police training institutions, that's a lecturer or whatever instructor, is a punitive posting. So they're not even ready to give the best, So there are lots of problems here and there. The motivation is not there, you see?
Well, I want us to get, okay, but from that 1976, which when you enlisted till now, I would say we've made a lot of money. We've sold a lot of oil that has given us money.
Yes.
Our population has increased, just like you said. But we seem not to have a police force that is commensurate to the growing population. I think the last time I checked, whether we had about 650,000 police officers.
Not anywhere near that, 400,000.
400,000 now, you see. I start to be corrected. And why I said 650 is because there was a time the police force said they were going to employ more people.
More people, yes.
I think about 2-3 years ago or so. So if you take a look at what is happening right now, can you give us a sense of like how much a Nigerian police officer earns? So that we start from there, because the motivation has to be what you take home. You had a car loan. Do they still get that now?
No, nothing like that now.
Okay, so
now, that's what I'm talking about. You see, motivation is very, very key. People must be motivated, they must be supported, empowered to perform, to do their jobs. But don't just deploy people out there with their bare hands. They won't succeed. They will not succeed. And regrettably, like I've always said, we are here to prioritize security in this country. And like I've always said, security is like the foundation of a building. If it is not solid, any other thing you put on it will eventually crumble and collapse.
Like what we're seeing right now, I think the Global Terrorism Index for 2020, it released its numbers in November 2020, and it ranked Nigeria as third in terms of global terrorism numbers. And we've been like that, I think, since 2015, though there was a decrease of deaths. But check out what happened over the weekend. With the monies that is being sunk into the police force and security as a whole, I think from 2014, since President Jonathan till now, there's been that increment of, in terms of budget, into the police force or into the security apparatus. Why is it that the country is still yet less secured? I don't feel secured. You can imagine people traveling. For you to travel from Lagos to Abuja now, your heart will be in your palms, or you just be praying Holy Ghost fire for those that are Christians. You understand what I mean? So with monies that we have put into place, we're not seeing the commensurate return.
Back to the point I made earlier. You see, we're talking of the sufficiency, the adequacy of the funds. Let me give you an instance. Take the National Assembly, for instance. A senator earns over 30 million every month.
And they still don't want to agree to that.
Yes, it's there. Some of them have even agreed. And just some months back, I have the newspaper in my office which I laminated. They said the news item there was that they resumed after 67 days of recess. 67 days, that's 2 months and 7 days. And for those 2 months, they were paid. And don't forget security. The business of security, maintaining security, is key because security and welfare of the people is the primary purpose of government. You know, primary purpose of government. Now, don't also forget, these are people who operate 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, a whole month, the whole year, weekends and public holidays inclusive. This is why I keep on saying, prioritize them, give them some kind of preferential treatment. Some years back, a British Prime Minister was asked this question, say, Your Excellency, why is it that the London Metropolitan Police Commissioner earns more salary than you, the Prime Minister? His Excellency just smiled and said, yes, and it's so because, one, the foremost reason is that he provides an enabling environment for me to perform, to work. That's what I've always said, in the absence of security, no form of human endeavor can take place, whether you like it or not.
Our economy is reeling from it already.
Yes, that's right. That's right. We are yet to recover from the effect of COVID-19. Now insecurity has taken over. So you can imagine. That's what we keep on saying, look, let us prioritize security. I also have a newspaper publication somewhere in my office where either the Minister of Defense or the Chief of Army Staff was also bemoaning the financial situation, problems we're having in the military. In the military. So we really need to empower.
Is it that President Buhari, and it's an irony because President Buhari was a former military man too.
Yes.
So he should understand
yes.
what the military or what the security.
Even though, like I said, it was many years ago. Yes.
So his time
the challenges
was
the
different
military is having now, they never had them that time.
That time.
Yes.
But at least he was a military man, so he should have a bedside view of what exactly, and he rose to the ranks. Where I'm actually going to is that for President Buhari right now, because he even campaigned on that, during 2015 or 2014, they were like, okay, you vote for me, I'm a military person, I have a military background, I will sort your security issues out and all of that. But it seems to have worsened off right now. But if you take a look at what the president is doing, vis-a-vis what is happening, vis-a-vis all the police chiefs, vis-a-vis all the monies that have been there, vis-a-vis the police trust fund that the president signed into law in 2019. We'll come back to that in a bit. How do you think that he has done? First and foremost, secondly, I want to ask you the question of being a retired AIG. Do you think that the security architecture should be changed in terms of the service
leadership?
Chiefs? Yes.
Leadership.
Because they've been there now for a while.
Yes.
And the allegations, I think that some of them are supposed to have
some
retired.
Yes, some of them ought to have retired.
And the president is keeping them
close
there.
to 2 years ago.
So what kind of message are you sending?
Aha, so that's what we're talking about. You see, we keep on doing the same thing the same way and expect to get different results. It doesn't work out that way. And there's nothing, like somebody was saying, in other political climes, when you have this kind of situation, people honorably resign or retire. But here, you know, people will tell you resignation is not in our culture. Because here, we have the culture of defending the indefensible, justifying the unjustifiable at all times. And that's where we remain where we are today. In other political climes, if they see something that is wrong, incredibly bad, they will say it, and those that are guilty, instrumental to it, will give up, apologize, even get sanctioned. But here, no. A lot of politics. Oh, you came in some years back with a promise to do this, do that, and all of that. You've been here for so long now. Not much has changed. Rather than address issues on ground, you keep on looking backwards, talking about what PDP did many years back. Of what relevance is that to us? Address the issues squarely on the table. Let us move forward. If you have incompetent hands, change them. Let's try some other person to swear to get new results. Look at the Sultan of Sokoto, just a few days back, bemoaning the insecurity in this country. Criminals, insurgents,
bandits going to
bandits
from house to house.
AK-47, yes.
Harvest fees from farmers.
That's
and
right.
all that.
All over. Nobody's able to check them.
And that is filtering into the rising food prices
Yes,
we're seeing
that's
right.
right. Coupled with the issue of flooding, that's the natural one. We see we're in a nation where only lately we started battling with natural disasters. If not over times, it's man-made disaster will be contending with in Nigeria. In Nigeria, that's the problem.
What issues do you think that the NSAS protests brought to the fore, especially as President Buhari announced the disbandment of SARS October 12, 2020, the formation of SWAT. What issues do you think that NSAS protest brought to the fore?
Let me tell you, let me make one point very clear here. Like I've always said, the NSAS protest was like an appetizer to the main dish. If you understand what that means.
Yes, I do.
It was just, let us start with this. The main thing eventually followed, you see. But again, it was a good thing happened. For instance, over times, the issue of trust between the police and the public has so worrisome. Trust is not there at all. Then the issue of respect for fundamental human rights of the citizens that are supposed to protect is a key issue too. Look at a number of people that have been brutalized, some killed, money is taken from them, property is taken from them, illegally. All of that will have been curbed. I'm believing all that. I'm believing that with the IG on board and those that the one who succeed him, February next year when he eventually retires, he will improve on what he meets on ground. Because we don't always walk our talk. Talk. Do what you're saying. It's never there. That is part of our problem. But like I said, the NSAS thing, it was a good thing it came on board. To a very large extent, the police has learned a lot of lessons from it.
Do you think they've learned lessons too?
Oh,
and
yes.
The police have also been affected.
Yes.
We saw many police
You
stations
can imagine
burnt.
police stations that were destroyed, burnt.
Yes.
Vehicles burnt.
And police officers too were
killed. You know?
So we shouldn't just
No.
look at it one
yes,
side.
that's right. So the way we discuss, people are talking about those that police killed. Nobody talks about the police officers that were killed. You know? People are now saying, oh, those that were killed suffered one loss or injury or the other in the course of the SARS should be compensated. What are the families of the police officers that were also killed?
What kind of lessons do you think that the police itself would learn from that NSAS protest? Because the feelings that I also got, a few of my colleagues that were traveling or a few of my colleagues that also have police friends did tell me that the police said, okay, Sheona, they protest against us. Let me speak it in pidgin so that people will understand.
More.
Yes. Sheona, they protest against us. Una go know the value of police. Shall we know they road again or something? You understand what I'm saying?
Nigerians already started complaining too when they were traveling.
Yes,
they
that
said the police are not on the road, we are not
road.
feeling safe again. No. The same we are complaining about.
So what kind of lessons should Nigerians learn from that NSAS, and should the police, I hope that the IGP has also taken lessons from that?
Let me tell you one key lesson, and I've always told them, but like here, a lot of us now adopted the policy of Professor Wole Soyinka. Well, Professor Wole Soyinka used to be very, very outspoken many years back. He got a point, he just kept quiet. I went for a function one day, and somebody, the journalist went and said, Prof, good days. I said, how are you? He said, fine. Sir, for a very long while, we've not heard from you. You are so quiet, you don't longer speak as before. And he said, I've been speaking over times. But the people I'm addressing, they keep on doing the same thing and expecting different results. I mean, they're not listening, and they are not deaf. They are not bereft of hearing. So to that extent, he stopped talking. But to address your question earlier, some of the lessons the police learned this. That SARS we're talking about, SARS means Special Anti-Robbery Squad. But regrettably, and to the embarrassment of the force, you can't believe, they were into cases of fraud, land dispute, matters that had nothing to do with armed robbery. Yet armed robbers were rampaging everywhere. That is your area of specialization where you should address directly, focus on 24/7. But we're busy going after fraud cases because of the money they want to make and all of that. Arresting people illegally, extorting money, taking money for bail and all of that. All of that has been brought to an end as I'm talking to you now.
Oh, it's not longer happening?
No.
With the SWAT team now?
Yes, that is the orientation.
Have they finished training? Do you know if they finished training?
Yeah, I think they finished training and they've been deployed, yes, sir. That's it now. They must be restricted to the line of training.
But we've also seen cases, even after the disbandment, that members of the so-called former SARS were still harassing people on the road with their guns. And stop. Yes.
You see, let me tell you one thing. You see, most of those guys that are there, you made the point initially in terms of take-home pay. The salary of a constable, I think, is, I don't know, it's up to 40,000. That's for close to 30 days. It is from there he transports himself to and from work, takes care of his family, pays house rent and all of that.
40,000 naira, that's not close to $100
No.
a month.
Yeah, that's right. So you can imagine, most of those guys you see on the highways, unlike in the military, every military checkpoint, they normally have a small structure by the side where they go to rest, undress,
yes.
have their bath, eat and all of that. But the police, no. They're just abandoned in the middle of nowhere. So you get in there, maybe you left for the place of work with 1,000 naira or even 500 naira. When you get there, it's finished.
And you have a family to feed at home.
How do you go back to? So these are the issues. These are the issues. The police must be taken adequate care of.
Do you think that we're going to be seeing that kind of commitment? COVID came out just a few days ago.
Yes.
The coalition against COVID-19, that's the private sector. The CBN governor, the banks execs. I think they said at a meeting a few days ago that over 38 billion naira was donated during that COVID-19 lockdowns. COVID came out to say that it's going to rebuild the burnt police stations. It's going to commit about 100 billion naira for equipment purchase, procurement, and all of that.
The central bank is doing into that too. Yes. They are part of it.
So how would you assess the involvement of private sector? And don't forget, I remember vividly also that in 2018, Dangote Foundation bought about 150 vehicles.
Patrol vehicles,
yes. And donated to the police force. Is this a good omen? And how can private sector partner with the Nigerian police force? I'm not a police spokesperson, and I don't know why, but I understand the impact of insecurity and the economy, because it's affecting some of the things I've been saying here in terms of food prices and all of that.
That's right.
It's impacting. FDI in the country has reduced. That's why I'm doing this show today. So how do you think that the private sector involvement can come in? Apart from even the solo ones you see that are not reported on TV or newspapers. Someone will be like, okay, we are building, give this, or we donate as a street, take this vehicle. A lot of that goes on in Nigeria.
Yeah. It's only the bigger donors that
that we hear about
and all of that. You see, it's very good, it's encouraging. But see, as much as that goes on, let me tell you a joke. There was somebody who was stopped at a checkpoint, and the officers were asking for his vehicle particulars. He gave all of them. One was not there. Although it was there, but they didn't quite see it. So where is your certificate of roadworthiness? And the police patrol vehicle they had there, the man said, look at your vehicle here. Is this vehicle roadworthy? You are look at my clinker asking for certificate of roadworthiness. The policemen burst out laughing. The point I'm making is this. In the past, that's what I'm talking about. Police in the past and police of today. In the past, the police had workshops where you had all manner of workers there, mechanics, electricians, plumbers, all manner of people that work on cars. All police vehicles were maintained there. And virtually
by the police themselves?
By the police. These were all police officers. They even had fuel dumps there. Police vehicle go there, fill your tank and go. Police buys petrol, just like that, you know. All of that is normal. And they had warehouses stockpiled with vehicle spare parts. So a vehicle is taken there, serviced, and you go away. But there's nothing like that anymore. Then even the works department was there to maintain police structures, buildings. You know, if a building has a problem, you go and fix the problem. If it's electrical, it's a building, erecting walls and all of that, painting, maintenance. They were doing all of this. But all of that is history. Those things are no longer there.
Now, with all of that, do you think that state policing is the answer, whereby each state should control its policing, and thereby those states will fund their police formations? Because it seems the federal government cannot handle it anymore, seemingly. Because the federal government may be, in a lot of some people's views, be saddled with the macro issues. Give perhaps the police to the states. And for example, from Delta State, where you're from, where I'm also from, a Delta police person should be in Delta, policing Delta. What do you think? Will it improve the fortunes of the police?
Honestly, state policing is the right way to go. But my worry is this. there are a lot of states that look up to the center here in Abuja, cap in hand, begging for federal government allocation to survive. In terms of internally generated revenue, in those states, it's almost zero. So how do you think such states can now sustain a state police?
So perhaps the issue of fiscal federalism comes into play,
to
whereby
yes.
states
do
what you need to do and pay
to the center. Contribute to the center. Honestly, state police have been the best. Like rightly observed, I'm an Isoko person from Delta State. If the police officers within my domain understand and speak my language, it will be a lot easier to contain crime and criminality. But to bring somebody from Sokoto to Isoko land, or someone from Isoko land to Borno State, are begging issues. State police is the way to go, but my worry is that a lot of states in Nigeria as of today cannot sustain it.
If we take a look at the way the police is structured right now, in my own quiet moments when reflecting on the police, what comes to my mind is, I know the police, for every failure in the police institution, there's some agency again that is created. If we take a look at, for example, in the police, there are the traffic wardens, isn't it?
Yes, as part of the police.
Yes. Perhaps because of the failure and all of that, we now have the road safety. I'm not against them.
No, the federal road safety, that was the motor traffic division of the police.
You have the VIO too, those that would inspect and all of that. So is it that for every challenge, especially that we've seen on the police force, we've seen an adjacent institution being created? If we want to take a look at holistically reforming the police, can we actually also bring all that together? I know that those agencies are also employing a lot of people. We're talking about jobs and livelihoods too.
No, honestly, to be honest with you, the more the merrier. That's my approach. The more the merrier. Because the problems we have are huge, enormous. They're enormous. And you see, if the workforce is too large, to get it controlled, catered for, administered would be a difficult task.
Why can't all those people be employed under the Nigerian police force?
No,
because those were
they will be too big. They'll be too big.
But we are now saying that let's employ more people in police. Why can't we now have the officers of the road safety? All of them, everybody is police, but they will now have their own divisions.
No, what I'm saying is this: look, United Nations ratio is 1 police officer to 400 people.
Yes.
Now,
I think in Nigeria it's 1 to 10,000 or 100,000.
That's right.
Last time I checked.
Just 2 days back or so, I'm not too sure, 2 or 3 days back, the Minister of State for National Planning and Budget or so, Clem Agba, he said projected population of Nigeria come 2050 to be 411 million. These are some problems, challenges we're having here. Population explosion, So like I said, if there are too many under one umbrella, it's going to be very, very cumbersome. That's the point I'm making. Yes, that's the point I'm making.
So like how many police officers do you think will be enough to police Nigeria with the kind of federal system we're operating right now, if we don't want to go the way of state police? Because we have, according to you, like 400,000 policemen.
Yes.
How many men and women?
No, right now, for instance,
should we have that will be enough?
For instance, if we double that figure
to 800,000.
To about 800,000 policemen, I think that would be enough.
For a country of 206 million people?
Yes.
It's still not up to 1 to 400.
No, but we may not have met the UN ratio, but that would go a very long way. Because the issues we have today, let me tell you very honestly, deployment of security operatives. These officers can be deployed to the highways on a daily basis, sustained and maintained there, patrol vehicles, fueled on a regular basis, serviced to be going up and down. Then, of course, your roads are so in terrible conditions. If the roads are very smooth, well-tiled, protected, people can be going speed and all of that. All these robberies and kidnappings and bandits will not take place anymore, with patrols here and there. Ordinarily, you have VI officials, federal safety, even the army and the soldiers are there, the police are also there. The whole place is very safe.
Let's talk about funding the police a bit. I mentioned earlier 447 billion naira earmarked for 2021 budget. I hope my team has that slide so that we can take it again. Some part of the money will be will be used, of course, for barracks, for arms and equipment purchase, personnel costs, and what have you. If we take a look at the Police Trust Fund, according to the act that was signed by Mr. President last year, 0.5% of FAC, that is Federation accounts, Federation account revenue will be going into the Police Trust Fund. A levy of about 0.05% of the net profit of companies operating in Nigeria into that trust fund too. Any takeoff grant and special intervention fund may be as provided by the federal, state, or local government would also go there. What you're seeing right now on the screen, 447 billion naira for 2021, 403 billion naira for this year. So the numbers being broken down, I can't see it from here really, but I guess, okay, my eyes are not. Okay, so the numbers you're seeing, breaking down those figures, the 447 billion that we've seen so far is the highest in 6 years, but it's still that not so much.
Of course, of course.
So let's talk about police funding. Where else do you think money can come from, apart from this police trust fund and the budget? Is there any other? And also, but the question also is, these monies that are being allocated, how are they also spent? Are they spent judiciously within the police?
That's a question I cannot say yes or no to.
Why can't you? Because you were retired AIG.
Yeah, listen. Like most other departments will tell you, to budget some amount of money for a whole year is one thing. To release the entire money for that same year is another. So that is the issue.
A police friend of mine told me at the time that when he was, I think, I don't know your language, the commander of a police station, like 3 or 4 police stations under him.
Okay, an area commander.
Yes, an area commander. That is like, is it 30,000 naira? He didn't even have money to fuel the vehicles.
Yes.
In his area command.
Yes.
And people will call, oh, there's a robbery.
They can't respond. There was an incident somewhere in the Kid State some years back.
But is it that, okay, is it that the monies are not enough, or the monies are not released?
Two, when it comes, we are not too sure whether the up there, it trickles down to the bottom. And like I said too, it's not everything budgeted that's released by government. I recall some months back, a senior official of FCTA, Federal Capital Territory Administration, was bemoaning the fact that what was budgeted for them for the whole of that year, only a percentage had been released. So my honest request and appeal to government that if you allocate 500 billion to a department or a ministry, make sure all of that money is released to them at once. Then two, within that same organization, there should be a committee to monitor the disbursement, to see how it is used, to ensure it's used judiciously. Not only the police, across the borders, across all lines, you know. Okay. But even within the police too, we need that kind of
yes, because I was coming to that, because if the money comes down, how does it also trickle down? So that there is no corruption. According to even the NBS, that the police is the most corrupt in Nigeria. I didn't say that. That's National Bureau of Statistics.
National Bureau of Statistics.
Yes, said it even like 2 years ago.
Said the police is most corrupt, not so.
Yes, their reports came out then.
That is why you find a lot of policemen and police officers retired and serving. They have private jets, not so. You are laughing.
I don't want to go into that, but what they mean is that in that report, they did say, okay, for every Nigerian that like has a police case or so, money must go through the back and all of that. So they were talking in terms of
how much is that?
And all of that.
How much is that?
Okay, I don't want us to go into all of that because the time
the police is not.
The time is
in fact, that is one of my queries for them. Getting involved in one of the things that's supposed to, corruption is a crime. Now we are supposed to be fighting crime. Prevention and detection of crimes. They are getting involved in it. It's so bad. Okay.
Lastly, just in a minute, if you can, encapsulate for me, if you like, enumerate as a former police officer.
Yes.
AIG retired. Encapsulate for me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that it should be a matter of urgency that the police should do or have, or the government should do.
Well, within the police, they must prioritize training, like in the military. The military does not joke with training. If you go to all the police training institutions in this country, they're in shambles. If you go to military training institutions, beautiful, excellent structures, and they have well-trained, well-motivated instructors. So police should copy from that too. Training is very key. Training. A lot of these officers you are seeing, their problem is ignorance, illiteracy.
So should we have like a category of educational qualification before
Yes,
you enter
a minimum,
police?
that's right, the minimum.
Okay.
Then there should be courses that should be put in place, like in the military. You must attend and pass also before you get promoted to the next rank. Things like that. But in the police, there's nothing like that.
Should the police be left in the barracks, or should they mix with all of us and live within the community and not in police barracks?
Let me vote.
Which we also have monies allocated in the budget every year too.
With the current strength, the way we are going, the government cannot build barracks for all of them.
Okay.
If you go to the US, don't find police barracks anywhere. The police live within the
community.
people. The same thing in Britain, France, everywhere. Their countries have been to. They don't.
I think we should leave it at that.
Yes.
We should leave it at that.
Yes.
Thank you. Coming from a police force, retired police officer, he told me before that we went on that I'm not in a uniform.
Yes.
But let's try as much as possible.
No, but I can arrange some for you if you want. Okay,
it won't be bad. All right, thank you very much. I've been speaking with Barrister Felix Ogbaudu, AIG retired, a member of the Order of Niger, MNI. We've been looking at the police reforms, counting the cost, what it will take. I hope that those in authority are listening, and also the police itself. Thank you all for joining us on today's edition of the program. I am Nancy Naji. Be the best you can be. I'll see you all tomorrow, God willing. Bye now.